Hey everybody, welcome to Ridenour Robinette here at Soundcheck. Oh, I kind of like that. Welcome to Soundcheck with Ridenour Robinette. Anyway, hope everybody's doing great. Welcome to a new episode, and we're ready to rock. I'm going to turn it over to Jimbo. He's going to tell you all about our guests today. There you go.
Big day today. We've had some great guests over the last few months. Today's a big one. We have Eugene Henriksen from the completely Unchained Van Halen tribute band. They've been together for years. They're touring all over the country. They're on fire right now. They have almost 100 gigs lined up for 2024. He's going to come in and tell us a little bit where he started, where he's at today, what shows they have coming up. There's a lot of history there. Also, some people don't know that Eugene's brother, who has been with the Alice Cooper band for, gosh, I don't know, over a decade, that's for sure. I seen him over a decade ago. Also, he's a guitar player in the Hollywood Vampires with Johnny Depp and Joe Perry and Alice Cooper as well. He's got some great road stories to share with us. So we're really looking forward to this. Also, we want to thank our subscribers and our followers, the ones from the Facebook page, if you've been to our Instagram, and of course, hopefully, you've been to our YouTube channel. If not, you want to plug in Soundcheck with Ridenour and Robinette, and you want to make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you check out these past podcasts as well as this one with Eugene Henriksen. We're really happy. Eugene is on his way right now.
Going to be tons of fun.
Tons of fun.
Tons of fun.
And really, give me like a little blues tune. So anyway, we're looking forward to seeing Gene. It's going to be a great interview. We're going to get the dirt out of him. And once again, stick around, because it's going to get good. Sound check. My boy, Keith Ridenour and Jim Robinette.
Hey. We'll be right back.
Stick around.
See you in a few. Hey everybody, welcome back to Soundcheck with Ridenour Robinette. I hope everybody is doing great. And I thought we'd just BS a little, man. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to?
Gigs coming up?
I got
anything
a lot
crazy?
going on. Business is going really good. Main Event Talent Agency, by the way, who I work for. We couldn't be any busier right now. We're slamming busy. Things are going really well. If there's any musicians out there that might be looking for work, you want to go to our website at maineventtalent.com, submissions, and you're more than welcome to put a submission in there, EPK, or whatever you choose to, if you're looking for work. As far as the Southern Blood Band, River Down, everything's going really strong. We got tons of gigs on the books. Just to throw it out there, this weekend, we're going to be at Crazy Uncle Mike's, February 24. We're going to be at Crazy Uncle Mike's in Boca Raton.
That'll be a good one.
And on the 25th, will be our debut at Earl's Hideaway, way up in Sebastian.
Oh, yeah.
We're playing, with a buddy of yours, the guitar player from Tough Luck.
Oh, Dave Scott.
Dave Scott will be opening for Southern Blood with his band.
The Reckless Shots,
That'll be on February 25th. Other than that, I got tons of gigs lined up. I won't go into the future dates, but that's it. On the 24th, will be Crazy Uncle Mike's. On the 25th, it'll be Earl's Hideaway. So that's kind of a Southern Blood update. And
Cool.
my friend Keith, how is your business going?
Everything's good. Writing away. We're writing for the Ed and Sync stuff. I've got a couple records I'm working on with people at the moment where they'll come in with 4 or 5 songs and, want to do like 10 songs total, which is really cool because it's going to last a little while, number one. And number two, you get to really dive into a lot of songs. The difference is some people may just want to come in and work on one song, but you got somebody who's doing 5 to 10. You can kind of really get in and shape a record, kind of determine where it's going to go, because a lot of times they just have the songs on acoustic or something. They don't have the actual production ideas figured out or anything. So I got a couple of those going on. But let's talk about the Super Bowl, man. What'd you think?
Well, first of all, let me throw it out there, that absolute 100% disappointment that my Dolphins weren't in it. I've been a Dolphins fan since I was a baby. I don't care. I don't care whatever kind of year they have. I'm on the wagon. I don't jump off the wagon. It absolutely crushed me that the momentum, where they were on fire game after game after game after game. And then, of course, we had a couple injuries. Some things took a shit. Of course, we went on the road. The Buffalo game, some of the games just tore me apart. And finally, we were there. We were in the playoffs. And I love this guy. I love our coach. And there we were. There we were. We're this close, I just wanted to see us, get into that AFC championship, but absolute disappointment. How was the Super Bowl itself? I thought it was amazing. A lot of people whined about it because it wasn't moving so quickly in the first half. And of course it wasn't. There wasn't even a touchdown, I think, scored until the end of the first half, if I'm correct. I can't.
McCaffrey, I think, went in the
and that was first. A great play.
Yeah, that was.
Nobody knew it was a pitch out, and then it was kind of a flea flicker all the way to the other side. McCaffrey is a machine, man. I can't imagine what it feels like for a defensive player to have to hit that guy. He's a bulldozer. He's just a diesel, man.
Yeah.
So and then the second half, of course, and then the end was drama. If anybody's a football fan, you saw last year with the Eagles-Chiefs game, went down just to the last minute. Same shit. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, you don't have to really like that guy, Mahomes, but oh my God, the magic.
He just finds a way. He just finds a way, man. I thought it was one of the best games in years. I really did. Defensively, both defenses were playing great in the beginning, And I think by the end, everybody was probably getting a little worn down, but I just thought it was a great game.
You know what they kept saying over and over? Who called the game? Tony Romo? They kept saying, the defense is getting tired. Well, you know what? They didn't get that tired. They won the game. And also, the turnovers, and they always say it. They've been saying it forever. Turnovers are big. That turnover was huge.
Well, they each had one.
They each had one.
Yeah. There was one point I really thought the Chiefs were coming a little undone.
That's the whole thing.
Mahomes was in, what's his name? Rice, I think it was. We're going at it a little bit. Kelsey was losing his mind. I thought, uh-oh.
You know what?
You know what? At the end of the day, they're just passionate. It's the Super Bowl. It's the Super Bowl.
You know what? They've been there. This was their third ring in 4 years. Don't hold me on that. They had, 4 appearances in the last 5 years. I think they have 3 rings. They talk about dynasty. Of course, it's a dynasty. But, at the end of the day, it was a great game. Everybody made a big deal out of the Swifties and the Taylor Swift. I say, who gives a shit?
Leave them
Let
alone.
them do their thing. Remember, the camera guy puts the camera. This is all about the network.
Yep.
It's all about numbers. It's all about ratings. Leave them alone. Let them do their thing. Hopefully it'll last. And if it doesn't last, no one will ever remember it. The thing about this is, think about this. When people go to look at the recording of this or the history of this huge event, year from now, 10, 50, 100 years from now, Taylor Swift will always be on that broadcast.
Yeah.
So 100 years when no one even knows, they'll remember her because she does bigger numbers than almost any artist in the world right now. I think they were comparing her to some insanity, Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney, Bruce Springsteen. She sells that everywhere in the world.
Dude,
she's going to be on that for the rest of her life. Hopefully they'll work out whatever they got. But at the end of the day, it's the football. Now, me as a Dolphin fan, are you a Dolphin fan?
I'm a Dolphin fan. Yeah.
Are you a Dolphin fan? Say it if you're not.
No, but remember, I was in Tennessee for a while, so I was a Titan fan for a while.
That's gonna be worse. Okay, let's not even go there because they took Tannehill from us, and nothing ever came from it.
Yeah, but when Tannehill went there, though, he did pretty well.
Oh, we're not talking about pretty well. They didn't win a championship, right?
Well, no.
So what is the pretty well?
Well, the Dolphins haven't won a championship yet either.
That's my point exactly. That's exactly my point. So the Dolphins' motto is, "There's always next year." Because here we are again. If they can keep that defense somewhat together, they can keep Tyreek healthy, blah, 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 blah.
I think that's the same with every team, though.
You know what? I don't know if Tua is the guy to take us to the homeland, but I'm a Dolphins fan, true and blue. I was broken this is how kind of fan I am. The whole day watching the Super Bowl, the hype, I just was hoping it was my Dolphins, and it wasn't, And there's those, the Purdy story is amazing. Him coming in as the last draft pick 2 years later, getting to
he's still, I think
22, 23?
I think he's still got another year at what he's getting paid too.
Right.
They can't change. They can't change that.
Well, I don't know how that works as far as the agent getting involved and getting more money.
No, I don't think you can. I think he was at. I could be wrong about the number, but I thought I heard somebody say he's still getting $700,000 next year. Meanwhile, he just played the Super Bowl, and there's other quarterbacks that didn't even come close to getting in the Super Bowl, and they're making 40 some million, 30 some million a year.
Yeah, there was a lot of
interesting topic.
Yeah, there are a lot of Niners fans because obviously a little closer to Vegas.
Yeah.
Las Vegas was really heavy on them. I think the Chiefs were an underdog. I think they were +2. That was incentive. I wasn't crazy about the Kelsey thing getting in the coach's face. If that was ever Belichick, it would have never happened. Just throwing it out there. If Bill Belichick would have got the boot from Gronkowski or one of his tight ends and booted into him like that and screamed in his face, chances are he wouldn't have been celebrated like Kelsey was. But either way, Kansas City Chiefs, second year in a row, world champions. Here's to them. And remember, Dolphin fans, our motto is there's always next year.
Woohoo!
I hope before I'm dead and gone,
Me too.
we have a world championship. And would you like to?
Yes, we'll be right back with our special guest, Eugene Henriksen. Stay with us. We'll see you in a few. Hey, everybody. Keith Ridenour here from Soundcheck with Ridenour and Robinette. Just want to tell you about Red One Music Group, which is my publishing group. And if you're interested or want to get into songwriting or need songs recorded, arranged, produced, mixed, etc., feel free to check out some of the artists, singer-songwriters in particular, that we've worked with and written with and produced, etc. If you go to redonemusicgroup.com, there's plenty of things to check out. All right, thanks for checking out Soundcheck with Ridenour and Robinette.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Soundcheck with Ridenour and Robinette. It's a pleasure to be here once again. I want to thank all our subscribers for subscribing, our viewers for viewing, and make sure you tap on that subscribe button. We're really excited. The momentum's been going. Last week went really well with a drummer from Newfound Glory.
Cyrus Baluki.
Cyrus did a great job. I want to thank Cyrus for bringing him into our podcast and doing a great job for us. I want to say a quick shout out also to Jason Sedowi, our producer, engineer. Jason, a little clap for Jason.
Not the man of the hour right there.
There you go.
And then, of course, here we are today with our guest, very special guest. And I'm glad that he had a chance to get away from his schedule. He's a very busy man. Eugene Henriksen from Completely Unchained, the Van Halen tribute band is here today.
Yeah, buddy. Woo! Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of people have questions. By the way, just to let you know,
I saw that.
I posted something on there saying if you had any questions, put the questions on here and I'll ask them. We'll get through that later.
I saw that.
Yeah, but
pretty good questions.
Yeah. We're going to start from the beginning because a lot of people, I mean, I've been doing this a very long time, unfortunately, and you've had more exposure in your tribute band than most bands do that circulate around here in South Florida. And being this is South Florida-based podcast, we're going to start from here. So tell everybody a little bit about where you're from. A lot of people that are connected with you already know you're from the Long Island area, from the East Coast. But tell everybody where you kind of started out, where you were born and raised, and how this all came to fruition.
I was born and raised in Port Jefferson Station, New York, born in 1961.
Did you just throw that out there? You just threw that. That was the last question I was.
Well, that's just me, I'm always trying to be ahead of the game.
Woo!
Yeah,
61.
Let's not let anybody wonder.
I grew up in Port Jeff Station, Long Island, my whole life, and I've been doing music there for a long time. I started out with my brother Tommy in a band called Rough Cut, I believe 1984. The scene was kind of moving out. We were growing up with bands like Zebra and Twisted Sister, and they were kind of getting deals, and then we kind of came in a little bit after that, So I started out in Port Jefferson Station playing that whole club local scene, and then kind of like got into the tri-state area. But like I said, we moved in after Zebra, Twisted Sister. There's a lot of bands like there are down here that just like they either fade away or they go to the next level, So we kind of like got to the level and then we kind of like faded away.
Were you playing drums or singing?
I'm sorry, yeah, I was playing drums at the time. But
So your brother was a guitar player.
my brother played
You were
bass.
playing drums. Was this a cover band?
It was a cover band called Rough Cut.
Right.
My brother
Cover band.
Tommy played bass. Johnny Rojo on guitar. I was playing drums. And, we were doing Motley Crue before no one knew who Motley Crue was on Long Island because somebody at a club that we worked at was Motley Crue's bodyguard. So that's how we started. And then we started writing originals. And then for me, how the Van Halen thing came upon was.
Well, wait, you're jumping a gun.
I'm always
we
jumping.
got to wait a lot more questions. Listen, okay, so the Rough Cut thing took a shit.
The Rough Cut thing took a shit.
So, and how old are you?
In my mid-20s, 23, 24, if I remember.
Mid-20s.
Yeah.
Okay. So right there at that point, nothing happened. So do you stay up there and you recreate another cover band at the time?
No, I stayed up there and became a drug dealer.
Okay.
How about that? Is that being transparent?
Hey, look where you're at. We're all extra dealers.
So I didn't do music for a while. I was kind of lost for a lot of years, because my brother ended up moving to California, and then he ended up going on the road with a German artist named Doral Pesch. So I was kind of like, I was in limbo. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So what happened was later on in the years, like 2000, I actually started a Billy Joel tribute guy with a guy named Mike Del Giudice, who now is in Billy Joel's band, which was very successful.
He's awesome. I follow him.
Yeah, very successful. So I did that from 1999 to like 2003 or 4. And then I decided that, we parted our ways, and I started a company called Music Idol right after American Idol, where I would go into all the schools in my neighborhood, in my district, in Long Island, and I would raise money for the school district, maybe the music department, the PTAs, anything that was affiliated with the schools. Yeah. So, and I did that for 17 years.
Wow.
So, on top of that, trying to play little cover bands in between to keep myself busy because, like Jimmy said, I'm originally a drummer.
Right.
When you did the Mike Del Giudice thing, we're going too fast. Mike Del Giudice thing, what was he doing? What was that a Billy Joel tribute band at the time, and he played piano and sang? And you were playing drums, or were you managing his business?
Right. No, he asked me because, I had a reputation like putting bands together and just working hard and getting it to the next level.
But not being in the band necessarily.
No, I was in the band. He asked me to be in the band.
I was wondering. Okay, got
So I ended up being the drummer for Big Shot, and he played keyboards and sang, and he played the Billy Joel part. And the name of the band was called Big Shot.
Yeah.
And then, we took that to a really, really good level on Long Island. We were like one of the first tribute bands on Long Island.
Yeah. Well, he's huge.
No, he's
like he comes down here, he'll sell out wherever he goes himself. So okay, so you worked with him, and then eventually that took its course.
That took its course.
And then you ended up getting into the Idol thing.
The music.
When I met you, you were doing that. You were hardcore into it.
Right.
So explain a little bit more for the people down there, because when you presented me with it years ago when I first met you, it could be huge anywhere. So basically what you did is you took kind of American Idol and you kind of bring that theme, that idea, that formatting to elementary school, middle school, high school. How did that work?
Correct. It was awesome because, when we presented this, it was obviously an opportunity because it didn't cost the schools money.
Right.
We got a percentage, and was always a fundraiser for the school. But, we took it to a level like nobody would have taken. We had like 2 10x15 video screens on stage, 8, 12-inch speakers aside. Everything was, on a computer where we had the kids on the screen with a 3-camera shoot. So it was really high tech. And these kids never witnessed anything like this. Like these little kids would walk in and go, we're going to sing on this stage and, with all this equipment.
What ages was it normal? Was it middle school?
Well, we started at the high school, but what happens during the high school period, when we went to high school, everybody hung out with one another. Later on, like these kids, they got like 2 or 3 friends. It's not like they hang around with 20, 30 people like we were.
Right.
So what happened was the sales weren't as good as we thought they were going to be. So then we opted out and started doing the middle schools where like now all the kids in the show, which would be about 40 kids, they do edit a 2-minute song of their favorite song. So what happened was when you get the middle school kids, now you have grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles,
all the family
neighbors, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, good business.
Yeah. So then that was working great. So we figured out a way to get the elementary kids involved now. Now you're doubling everybody because now everybody
Right.
wants to see little Johnny,
Right,
you know,
up
sing
there.
a Taylor,
Yeah.
sing a Taylor Swift song
Yeah,
or a
yeah,
Maroon
yeah,
5
yeah,
song.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was it was good. We raised a lot of money and we did a lot of nice things for kids that like had insecurity problems. You know,
I love it. That's
I'd have
great.
the parents come up to me and say, "Hey, you know what you do for these children?" I said, "Yeah, I know what I do, but I love the kids. You know, I run into these kids. They're bartenders now. You
Right.
know, they're like, Mr. Gene, remember me? I was in like Cinema Rich's Idol when I was
Gene.
like 3rd grade. And I'm like looking at the kid and I'm like, yeah, I remember you, man.
Yeah.
You know, and now they're bartending and making money. You know, it wasn't like a lot of kids didn't like, they did it for fun. They
Sure,
didn't they
yeah.
didn't say to themselves, hey, I'm going to be a rock star. A lot of kids auditioned for American Idol, they told me, and they got called up. And they, you know, what made them go and audition was the fact that they had a little bit of like, you know, they were enthused to do it, but
They were
I gave them that
confident.
incentive to like, give it a shot.
Right.
You got nothing to lose but somebody say, hey, good job. You know what I mean?
And once they got up there and did it, I'm sure they were much more confident.
Oh, yeah, they
You
loved
know,
it.
All of a sudden, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, I can do this.
Yeah, they loved it. It was
And,
good.
and the way that you were making money, because I'm a money guy, the way you make money is once you've done all the auditions, then you put on a show.
Right.
And at that show, family, everyone's invited. So you have a couple hundred seats and maybe at school or whatever it may be.
Right.
You charge an admission fee.
Right.
And then the percentage of that will go back to the school, and that's how you would make.
Right.
Was that pretty much your main source of income for the longest
Oh,
time?
yeah.
Or you were hustling doing a bunch
that was pretty much it. You know, it was a full-time job.
Right.
You know, like you'd go in like a school on a Monday and you'd have to audition like 100 kids.
Right.
You know,
That's
Oh,
time
and then
consuming.
then you'd go on a Tuesday, go to another school. I mean, we were doing like, I don't know, 50 shows a year in a school district.
Wow.
And
And
if
you
Oh,
gotta-
yeah, you were hustling.
Not the school district, the school year. You know, so then you're doing auditions Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday you got to do the show for the school. You know, like you auditioned like a month prior, and then Friday because all the shows were done on Thursdays and Fridays.
And did you have to have release forms signed and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, all that had to be done. You
Yeah.
know, you're in a school now. They do
Yeah.
a background check. It's very, very, you know,
Yeah.
it's tight
So
security.
so then you did that for quite a few years, and then moving along, how did you? Okay, so let's just try to go a little bit slower. So when I first met you, I don't know, it could have been 10 years ago. If I remember first, I'm not sure if you had the Van Halen thing going, or you were just playing in a cover band. I can't remember, but you did front a couple bands down here, having some fun on the weekends.
I did the thing called The Big Show with Howie.
With who?
Howie.
Who?
Howie.
Bass player, Howie?
Yeah, and this guy
Bring his
literally-
name up on my podcast. I'm only kidding.
And this guy,
Okay.
Eddie Grizzly. You know,
Eddie Grizzly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did like Johnny Browns and premieres.
Few bars.
And, you know, just a couple. It was like a bunch of guys that were really busy. And I said, let's do something like on a Sunday or a Monday.
Yeah.
I remember.
And have fun. It wasn't
Yeah.
about money. We didn't
Yeah.
make a lot of money doing it,
Yeah.
but it was just.
But
I
then,
wanted
then
to
you
play
did.
drums.
Did you have the Van Halen thing cooking by then?
Yeah, the Van,
How did that start? How did you realize that you had a niche for that? Because there had to be. Let's start right from the beginning because we want to hear the ugly stuff. We don't want to hear all the fame
right,
and glory.
the
of that.
Van Halen
the very
thing-
very beginning.
The Van Halen thing came on when I was in the band Rough Cut with my brother.
Okay.
We loved Van Halen. Remember the first
Right.
time you heard Van
Yeah.
Halen one, you're like, who is this? Everybody wanted to be David Lee Roth, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, every guy did. So, and I came across doing it pretty well vocally back then. I hope to think I do it. a little
Right.
bit
Yeah.
now. So what happened was with Rough Cut, all my drum techs always played drums. So like I mentioned before earlier, you know, we were doing Motley Crue, Y&T, Saxon, I mean, Scorpions. And then we decided to do the Van Halen. But what happened was my drum tech would play the Van Halen stuff.
and you
I would
come out front. Yeah.
So I knew like Bottoms Up, So This Is Love, Ice Cream Man.
You still had the
The
mullet back then. You didn't need the wig. You
Had the mullet,
You had
yeah.
the mullet. You were just so you started jamming with. Now, is this way back when, or this is years later? We're talking about.
Way back when.
Okay,
Way
so
back
you knew
when.
you had a niche for it. That's why you're starting at the
Right,
beginning.
right.
But then, of course, after the Idol thing, and you came back here, or you were,
Right.
so you were still a snowbird. You didn't
Right.
come back here full time.
Right, I was snowbird.
So how did
Right.
how did that act? How did this act that you have currently now, that the name Completely Unchained? Where was the starting point of that?
Okay, so 2011, my old guitar player, Johnny Roger, who played in Rough Cut, he was in a Van Halen tribute band called Unchained.
Yeah.
And the singer from that band left to go play with a Van Halen band in LA called the Atomic Punks.
Which I'm familiar with.
I've-
yeah.
So he went out to LA. Johnny Roggio called me up years later, said, Gene, you want to dust the Capizios off and do some Van Halen? I'm like, all right, do I got to do the whole routine? Because I wasn't used to that at the time. You know,
Right.
I was, I played in the Billy Joel tribute band. I played drums. I'm not going to look
Right,
like Liberty
right,
DeVito.
right, right.
Liberty DeVito, but I'm trying to
I'm
play
doing
the part.
Liberty
It's all
DeVito.
about Billy Joel. You got to
Yeah.
play. You got to do the Billy
Yeah.
Joel stuff. So he ended up calling me like in the middle of like a frantic moment. Like, I need you to do this. I think you could do it well. So I went and did it. And I was just dressed up like Jane, and I did it, and it went over well, and we had a really good time. And he ended up paying me like $450, and I didn't know back then that that's the kind of money they were paying tribute bands.
Right, right.
And I'm like, this is what you get paid for doing like 2 45-minute sets? He's like, yeah. So I decided to say, hey, I think I could do this full time. So like
The light bulb came
Yeah.
on.
Hello.
money,
Hi.
I got no life. Nothing's going right for me right now. Let me figure out a way to get back on top, So I ended up taking the reins like I do with most of my projects, because I did it with Rough Cut and Music Idol and, the Billy Joel band. And I just started booking it. You know what I mean? Saying to myself,
With Johnny.
with Johnny, right?
And who else was in the band at the time?
Kevin Humphreys, who was the bass player, who was
Right.
with Completely Unchained for many years,
Right.
and a guy named George Bagonis, which they all lived in Jersey.
Right.
from Long
So
Island.
they're all right.
Right. So
So you started it up there.
started it up
Oh,
Ah,
that's what I was
gotcha.
getting at.
Right.
Okay, you
Yeah,
started it up
okay.
there.
there.
Okay.
Started it up there, and then came down here because I was, I just wanted to be in warmer weather. Came down to Florida and was just checking out the scene,
Right.
and realized that there's a lot going on down here.
Right.
So what happened was I ended up getting, we ended up getting all this equipment. I ended up buying my house in 2011. And then I kept saying to the band, eventually I want to do half here and half up north,
Right.
Especially in the wintertime.
Sure.
It's snowing up there today.
Right. Exactly.
So we ended up coming down here, playing premieres. What's that place in Cape Coral Springs? At
JD's.
JD's. I don't want to go out and say this in a bad way. All the shitholes.
No.
All the shitholes that we all grew up.
I did not say that for all the people that still employ me.
He didn't say it. I said
Well, by the way, Premier and JD's are both, I think, pretty
right.
much-
So
that's
I don't
okay.
mean that in a disrespectful way.
No, he meant that in a nice way.
in a
With all the shitholes, I meant in a nice way.
in a way, like, thanks for getting me started at $600 a night when I got to feed 4 guys and fly them back and forth. It's all good. So I ended up doing all the venues and building my name up. Coconut Creek was always good to us, the Coconut Creek Casino.
Uh-huh.
So it took some time to build up, and then the
Yeah.
money came up eventually.
Yeah.
Like when a lot
Okay,
of,
so I gotta interrupt you because if I forget, I won't be able to ask you. So what you're saying is when you did come here, you came with your guns loaded. You didn't do it half-ass. You didn't do the guy with the concert shirt on, the jeans on, the sneakers playing guitar. You were trying to go balls out.
Right.
Do the part,
The
dress the
show,
part.
everything.
The first time you put the wig on, you put the outfit on, you put the pants on, you hit the gym. It's a slow process to where you are
Right,
today.
right.
So when you started out in those clubs, you didn't. I remember because I saw you guys from the beginning, more or less, that you didn't have all the bells and whistles, and the bells and whistles started coming up
Well-
a little bit. The smoke, the lights, the boom.
Well, because Jimmy's been there since the beginning. I love you.
yeah, great. Here it comes.
So no.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I went
Yeah.
out and I bought trussing
Yes.
and video screens, and
Yes.
I would schlep this stuff in and out of the clubs just to be a step above everybody else that
Yep.
was doing
That's what
it.
you got to do.
And then I remember getting the first wig, and my ex-girlfriend was a hairdresser. It was kind of like she cut it like a David Cassidy shag from the Partridge Family. But, I was just still trying to find my way, Like
Yeah.
you said, we bought the smoke machine, the glitz machines, everything that made a Van Halen tribute band.
Yeah,
Van
right
Halen,
on.
Right,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
19,
Yeah.
it's a party, 1982. But it took a lot of time to figure out the look, the clothes, and just get to that point where I'm like saying to myself, all right, I feel like the #1 Van Halen tribute band in
Right.
Florida at the time.
Right, right.
Because there's thousands of them.
Right.
And they're all pretty good, most of them.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's move it. You know what we're going to do? Let's take 5. We're going to go to a commercial because they got a couple things we want to take care of and a sponsor we want to throw out there. But stick around. Keith, you're going to ask, you have some questions for
absolutely.
Gene. Gene, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back in just a couple minutes. Stick around.
Hey.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Sound Check with
Hey.
Ridenour Robinette. We're going to continue on with our friend Eugene Henriksen. And thank you so much for being here.
Love you guys. Thank you for having me.
Where we cut off earlier is where the tribute thing started taking off. So I got so many questions. Keith has a few as well, but we're gonna move on. So once that Van Halen thing started to take off, and you realize the strength and the power behind the business end of it, obviously you've had several players. A few of them I was fortunate enough to play with as well. Things are cooking right now. You guys are on fire. So in the beginning, I'm going to guess, throwing it out there, just a few gigs here and there, and then it started to build up and build and build. So tell me a little bit about where you're at today, because I know, well, let's start with this. Who you're playing with today?
Today,
So, my guy, Clint.
Clint the Tory.
He's still
Love
in there?
Clint. Yeah, a couple years now.
Right? Is he a good guy?
Clint's awesome.
No, tell the truth.
He is. He beats to his own drum. You
He
know?
beats to his own drum.
Yeah, Clint is like, it's funny because before the show,
Go ahead, say the dirt, man. That's what people want to hear,
I see
bro.
him in the parking lot doing push-ups and sit-ups. I'm like, dude, you got to do that at the gym, not at the parking lot. Half an hour
Dude,
before the show.
When he worked for me, he never did a push-up.
Yeah.
Oh, he does.
I can tell you what he was doing, but it's not for the
No,
camera.
Clint's
Yeah.
awesome. I love him. Yeah, Clint's a
You
great
got him
team player.
You got him in good shape too, because I remember I walked into Planet Fitness. This is like 2 years ago when he started working for you, and he was soaking wet, man.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? He said, man, that Van Halen tribute band, man, I'm working it. He was working it. Like, you
Gene
really
said
trying
no
to-
chubby guys in this outfit.
Yeah. So okay, so you've been with Clint, and I'll tell you a quick story. You know, I know Clint when he was in a band called Stomp Box, and this is 20 years ago. The band was literally this big, and they were playing at some hole in the wall down the street. And I found something that was special about him, just the way he played, the way he handled himself, the way he sang. He was with me for a few years, maybe, I don't know, 3-4 years. And he's doing a great job for you when I saw you guys live, and I've seen you several times live. And then your guitar player, who I'm not familiar with, the guy that replaced
Rojo.
Rojo.
That's Jake Miller.
Jake. Okay, was Jake a Long Island guy?
Jake was my competition on Long Island. He was actually in a Van Halen tribute band called Bottoms Up. So we were like competing.
Right.
And it was kind of weird because down the road, I needed him and he needed me.
Uh-huh.
And we realized that.
So it just worked out.
You know what I mean?
How long has
Yeah.
he been with you now? A few years?
7 or 8 years now.
That's how long it's been since
Yeah,
that other
his
dude?
first show was at the Wellington Amphitheater
Ah.
in front of like, I don't know, a couple thousand people.
Yeah.
And he looks at me at the end of the night and he goes, "Oh, all the shows like this down here?" And like, you know, just to keep me in the loop, I'm like, yeah, they're even bigger. They're better.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Come on down. So he ended up leaving his band. He didn't quit his band. He just said, I'm going to do fill-ins for Rojo.
Right.
Because at the time, Rojo was doing like a Chicago tribute and they were playing more and making more money.
Right,
you know,
right.
Who you just played with, by the way, a couple weeks ago also, right? Rojo? Did Rojo,
Rojo
just do
came in and
Cooper
filled
City,
in. Yeah,
or-
Rojo is my boss, one of my best friends. Right?
Okay, and then the drummer wheel. There was definitely, because I keep an eye on you, of course, I'm a big fan. So I know you've gone through several. So you played when during COVID, you kept rolling during COVID pretty much.
We were like the only band playing during COVID.
Yeah, so I know you're with the cat from Tesla.
Troy Lucetta has played with us before.
Troy look, you had to play a show or two, I don't know. And then you had your one guy from Long Island, the guy who was with you for a long period of time,
George Bagonis.
George Bagonis. And then
We
tell
had
me a
Kenny
little-
Wendland for about
Yeah, Kenny
6
Wendland.
months.
Yeah, Kenny Wendland. Shout out to Kenny.
Kenny.
Now let's talk about Zoltan, because I know Zoltan from Lois Lane, maybe 1987, 88. He was in a cover band I played down here, and I'll never forget that, people didn't even know who the band was, but when they were done, they knew who the drummer was.
Right.
He was just in a cover band, but I think there were some girls in the band. I can't remember so much, but nobody ever saw what he did.
Right.
Jumping on the toms, throwing sticks around, throwing it against the wall, catching it, picking his nose with it, doing flips, And then all of a sudden, I did see him years ago with Vince and or Slaughter. I can't remember. Slaughter. Years ago, I saw him with Slaughter. And then all of a sudden, I see a promo, and there he is with you. So how did that come to fruition?
Well, I saw Zoltan. I never seen him before. I would just watch some Vince Neil videos and like, who is this guy? It's so much fun.
Right.
And you could tell he was taken away from Vince. You know what I mean? Because Vince really not at his prime right now anymore. So I think he was in there because of all of his acrobats. But I thought he was a great drummer. So during COVID, I became really good friends with the guy from Tesla. Troy was a very good friend of mine. I asked him if he'd be interested in coming down here because we were one of the only bands working during COVID. He said, you know the guy Zoltan? I'm like, no, I don't know him, but I've seen him on video and I love him. You know, he's a lot of fun. He goes, well, he lives down there in
Just
Jupiter.
right down the street.
Yeah,
right down the road.
Jupiter.
Yeah.
So Troy ended up reaching out to him. It was like, before I hung the phone up with Troy, I already got a message from Zoltan in an email saying, you know, I heard you're looking for a drummer, something I might be interested. So I reached out to him and we met at the Cheesecake Factory on Palm Beach Gardens.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, I'm used to seeing this skinny, lanky guy, all white, you know, and I'm in the Cheesecake Factory looking for this guy walking around, you know, and all of a sudden I hear, you looking for me? And there's this guy leaning up against the wall with a beard down to here, you know.
Oh, he grew out a beard then?
He grew out a beard. He looked like, what is that show with all the
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Duck Dynasty.
Duck Dynasty.
Yeah.
So, and he's got a hat on, and he's got this beard
Fucking
down
Long
here.
Island redneck right there, buddy.
I know he's like 6'2". I'm like, I'm sitting there I'm looking around. Like, you looking for me? And I turn around. I'm saying to myself, like,
Dude.
I hope this guy doesn't think he's gonna wear that on the show.
Yeah.
You know, he's got this long beard. So we ended up having dinner and discussing, you know, moving forward what he wants to do with the band. And he ended up being with us for a couple years. But then, you know, he had Vince Neil stuff that he had to, you know,
Right.
he had to do.
Obligated
So we would
to.
get a substitute. So we ended up getting a guy, Tim Dodoro, who lives up in the Orlando area, who also played with Slaughter.
Oh, wow.
And I found him online, and a couple other guys like Jeff Blando that plays with Vince and Slaughter, they all knew him up there. And I just watched the guy play a couple videos, and I said, this is the guy. So what happened was Zoltan had to do a gig, a Vince Neil gig, so we got Timbo to do like a private event, which is always good to break in a drummer. No
Sure.
rehearsal.
Yeah.
You know, there's nobody there. And he came in and he nailed it. And he's been our drummer back and forth. Like we use him, we use Zoltan.
Well, I'd like to be a fly on the wall during the negotiation process because I was on the phone with Zoltan a couple times. I tried to get him to play.
It's tough. It's all about business, that guy.
Hey, listen, Gene. Well, I could do your accent. I can't do his accent.
Right.
Listen, Zoltan, we only make so much money, you know. So what are you asking for? Let me give me a price.
Yeah. I could do it for half of
I
that.
don't leave
all
my
right?
house. I don't leave my house for less than X amount of dollars.
That's the way they
listen,
are.
That's the way they are.
Yeah.
So you got him in the band. I know you've done a bunch of shows with him, and
Couple years we've done
Yeah, a
with
few
him, yeah.
years now. And now, you know, as far as outshining, there's nobody outshining because you got a strong lineup. You know, people do notice what he does. Of course, it's a freak show.
Well,
but
I've had other drummers and people go, aren't you afraid of Zoltan? I'm like, no, I enhance
Yes.
that. I want everyone to be
dude, when
part
I
of it.
saw
I'm
you
not
guys,
worried about
when
it.
I saw
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys at Boonies, whoo! It's one thing seeing you guys on a video or on the phone, on your cell phone, or even from Galuppi's, you know, 30, 40 yards away. But when you're standing there next to the stage and you see what he's about, the
Right.
band was about, Clint was soaking wet, the band was a mess. I mean, you guys were just crazy, tight as shit. The explosion, you know, even though it's a small room, those are kind of fun
You
sometimes
felt it,
because
though.
the people are right here in your face.
Not just
I didn't
that.
even see you, by the way, for like, I don't know what it was, 2 or 3 songs, because you were like either in the crowd, you were bent down, and he was doing his solo thing. I was like,
But you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, we just played in front of 12,000 people, Cape Coral Bike Night. You know, you're talking about a massive sound system, and then we'll play at Boonies in front of 250 people,
Right,
whatever
right.
the place holds. We still put on the same show.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, we love what we do. That's why we do it.
Right.
You know?
Do you find it sometimes that it's you like it being a little bit smaller because it's a little more intimate when the ass is
I
in your
love it.
face?
I
and
love it.
When it's in your face, you like that a little bit more? Because I know, let's be honest, I've done a few thousand shows, and of course I'm not in a tribute band, but sometimes you play to 3,000 people, but 3,000 people are sitting down.
Right.
Or you're in a theater and they're sitting.
Oh,
yeah.
no, I'm in a giant park with 3,000 people, you know, and they're all sitting down. Now, granted, the music that I present to them is maybe a little bit more sit-down music, and they're an older crowd. But do you have to like go that extra mile to get the blood pumping? Sometimes you got to push it.
Yeah, I mean, you always go the extra mile, but you know, like all these amphitheaters that we play at, it's funny because the people that run them come up to us at the end of the night and go, "You're the only band that's got people up
Yes.
front, like really quick."
Right.
And
right.
and I think it's the energy
It's
and the
definitely
way
the
we
energy,
present.
yeah.
You know, Jake is like, I mean, from a distance, he looks like Eddie Van Halen. He does the jumps like Eddie Van Halen. You know, he's got the tone like Eddie Van Halen. So our goal is to like have all that intensity and have the audience be involved in what we're doing.
Right.
Because it's all about having a good time.
Yeah.
And like I was just telling you before, all these amphitheaters that we play, we just played Plantation. Guy Jojo, really nice guy, comes up to me at the end of the show. He goes, "We've had I don't know how many concerts here. No one's ever come up to the front of the stage before like this."
Right.
And I said, "But you could see why. We're having fun. You know, we don't walk around
and
like
the
we're
audience
rock
knows
stars."
it. When you guys are having fun and kicking ass and bringing all that energy,
Yeah.
it's infectious.
And listen,
There's
we
no
do
way
that in
around
front
it.
of 10 people or 10,000 people. It's the same guys.
Absolutely. When I was in cover bands years ago down here, I used to tell everybody in the band, I don't care if there's 8 people or there's 800. We got to go out there and kick ass. And back then, you were trying to get a record deal on top of it.
Right.
Couldn't do a lot of originals, even though we would salt and pepper them in during the set. But I used to go, you don't know who's sitting in the audience.
Well, you got to remember now, everyone's got a phone.
Exactly.
So you want to do a great job
Absolutely.
if there's no one or
there
everyone.
could be 10 people in there and they all got their phones out and somebody somewhere goes, I saw you guys do this show, man. I want to fly you to wherever.
We've had that before.
Yeah,
We've gotten
absolutely.
gigs from that.
Where was your biggest gig ever?
We did a show last year in Woodstock, Georgia. 14,000 people were there
Wow.
singing Panama.
My sister's
Wow.
from Woodstock, Georgia.
They
I
just,
should have
Wow.
told.
they just called us back. We're going back to Buford. Yeah, we did. It was like there was a Bruno Mars band that played a week before, Ring Springfield and us, and we all did the same amount
Right.
of people. But they're free shows.
Right.
But if you go to our Facebook page, Completely Unchained, the cover page is me with 14,000 of my closest friends in their hands in the air,
Right,
celebrating the
right.
music of Van Halen.
Right.
And then, like Cape Coral was good, 12,000. Like these bike nights are really, really cool because,
Right.
they're free.
Right.
But it seems lately like we've been drawing more people than the other tribute bands. This is what they tell me.
Right.
Maybe they're just trying to get on my good
They're
side.
full of shit.
I don't know.
Well,
The bike festivals, from what I remember back in the day, good people, a lot of them, but they're not the ones jumping in the front. Are they rocking? Do these bike?
No.
I've done thousands.
No,
of them.
the bike
They're not those kind of people.
No, like when we go out to Sturgis,
Yeah.
it's not like that. They all sit down and, they just watch the band. But we did get people up at Sturgis too because the guy that runs the event, my buddy Mark Bartlett, he goes, nobody gets up. You got people up, which is cool.
Yeah.
This is my goal. I don't sit there and go, come on,
Yeah,
get up. I'll
yeah,
give you
yeah,
a $10
right,
bill.
right.
You
I
get
do
up
every
closer.
weekend, yeah.
I'm like, come on, show a little love, man. You know what I mean?
Right,
Come on.
right.
Come on a little bit closer. I don't bite. There's nothing wrong with me.
Right.
Right.
But, the other night at Cape Coral Bike Night, you wouldn't believe how many kids were up front. There were
Right.
little kids all over the place.
Yeah.
Whose
They got their
parents
phones
listen
up
to
with the
Van
Van Halen.
Yeah.
Whose grandparents
guitar-
listen to the band.
Yeah, I mean, it was like little kids and their father's shoulders up in front, and you try and
Yeah, I
high
love
five
that.
them all.
Right, right.
It was great. So you're right, Jimmy. They're all different. Some people just sit there and watch, and some people, they want to get involved.
Right. When you guys, I suppose consciously, guitar in particular, bass, do your guys go after that exact gear? In other words,
Absolutely.
I would assume.
Well, getting
so.
back to what Jimmy said about Clint being
Yeah.
a really good team player, we didn't even ask him. He got into character. He went out and bought a Jack Daniels bass.
Right.
He went out and got the outfits.
went for
I didn't
it,
even
yeah.
ask him.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he showed up in this jumpsuit. I'm like, you might get lucky tonight with that little guy.
Yeah.
He does not, just like you, does not look his age.
Yeah, no, we listen.
No, we're just saying he don't look his age.
How old is Clint? I don't even know.
I wouldn't say he's my age. I would say he's, and I'm going to go with mid-50s, 56. I'm going to guess. I mean, Clint, just throwing it out there. You don't look your age. I'm just throwing it. Well, none of your guys look their age. But that's pretty cool. So I got a bunch of questions here. Well, the one question I wanted to ask you was, I remember, and this is big for me, man. This is like I could almost tear up thinking about this the first time I heard the Van Halen album because I was music consumed me. I was playing drums. I was a big Kiss fan. I would sit in my bedroom. My mother got me this piece of junk Ludwig kit. I'd smash it every day. She was such a good mom. She just let me do my thing. And I remember my neighbors came over to my house and said, "Listen, we got this album. You have to come over and listen to it. I mean, you have to. It has to happen now." And we had the stereos. He had a Zenith stereo. Never forget this. And as soon as we saw the album cover, without hearing a note,
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, what are these guys doing, man? And the first, I don't know if it was Atomic Punk. I don't know what the first one on the album was. Atomic Punk, Little Dreamer, You Really Got Me, Eruption. Ain't Talking About Love. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah, Feel Your Love Tonight.
But, I
Yeah.
mean, oh my God. I was like,
Eruption.
when I heard it,
Right.
I was like, this is something out of outer space. Right away, you recognize that guitar sound. And so my question to you is, do you remember kind of like where you were? Do you remember how it started for?
Well, it's funny you brought this up because there's always a little, I guess, story I tell before Ice Cream Man, because that's one of my favorite songs. And it refers to my first girlfriend in my Ford Pinto back in 1978 in my high school parking lot. You know, I forgot her name. I think her name was Nicole. And I remember, you know, her and I were in the parking lot. We were about to, you know, do the nasty.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, Ice Cream Man came on the radio. And I just looked at it. I said,
Sometimes
the
sick
nasty's on hold for a little while, man. Let's listen to this.
Did you learn the riff?
All right. No.
I told you to learn that riff.
So you know, when I first heard Van Halen on the radio, like everybody else, I mean, if you didn't pull your car over and go, wow, who is this?
Yeah.
Who are they? Where can I get this album? You know, you weren't, I don't know, in the right state of mind at that time in life, because I think the Van Halen debut album changed everybody's life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you grew up listening to rock and roll.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it's almost like the first Guns N' Roses record. That was a
Yep.
great record.
Yeah.
Wasn't Van Halen,
Right,
but it was a
right.
good record. But you're right. The first time you heard that record.
So I used to tell people as whatever my story, my years of playing music continue. I used to tell people that I got arrested. I didn't arrested. One time I had handcuffs on me in my entire life, unwillingly. I snuck into a Van Halen Sabbath concert, right? And I think it was like 1980 something. Doesn't matter. And my mother had to come get me out of this trailer because they put all the people that got busted at the concert. They didn't just keep bringing them back to the police station. They put us in a trailer. Well, I got caught, and I'll never forget because it was Women and Children First, and it was Black Sabbath and two of my favorite albums in the world.
Right.
So I got arrested. I snuck into the place, and they told me, if you come back, you're going to go to get arrested. I got arrested. So anyway, long story short, because the power of the internet, somebody had the post from Sun Sentinel. And there it
Really?
is. And they posted it on my Facebook page.
Wow.
And I'm going to send it to you. And it says, you know, this name. And James Robinette from Grant Street, Hollywood, Florida, was arrested at 18 years old, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I had this snippet of the Sun Sentinel. But I'll never forget having to listen to Women and Children First in the trailer, in the parking lot. And I'll tell you, man, I might have saw him twice, 2 or 3 times in concert. And it was something that there was no other band at that peak in those early, you know, late 70s, early 80s. God, how old are
Yeah, well, if you go on the internet, which I'm on all day long because that's what I do, and you look at like Van Halen, like at the Oakland Coliseum in 1982, and then like my favorite bands, don't get me wrong, AC/DC, and you look at what they were doing in 1982, you couldn't even compare it.
No.
You know, the lights, the sounds, the attitude, just the charisma, the energy that Van Halen back. And I love AC/DC and I love Aerosmith.
Right.
But back then, like the early 80s, 1, 2, 3,
Right.
nobody came close to Van Halen. I'm just me,
Yeah,
man.
I never got to see the original lineup, but I do remember going, somebody got us tickets to go the first show that Sammy Hagar played with them.
Right.
And he didn't sing Jump or any thing. He brought like somebody from the Miami Dolphins up to sing. But I remember when Eddie sat on the stage by himself and played his whole thing, he was just cigarette and that was it. I mean, I never saw anything like that in my life in front of me.
Right.
You know, he just sat on the stage like this and played.
Oh, yeah.
He did a bunch of his stuff, and then eventually...
It's just like a whole medley of like
it's just,
Main Streets.
It's like
and
he's just fucking around, you know? And
but that's what he did.
yeah. And I was mesmerized. I just was like...
We're going to knock out a bunch of these questions, and you just give me the short answer.
Okay.
So we got a whole bunch of them coming from all over here. Well, just because if you give me the long answer, well, you know we never get out. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Some of these are your friends too. So let's start right here. Don Martin has, have you ever considered performing at Sharky's? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Joe Suma said, Gene is a decent drummer. If he could play drums in a band, who would it be? Oh, he said you're a decent drummer. If you could ever play drums in a local band, what band would it be?
How about a tribute band? I would do a Tom Petty tribute band or a Creedence Clearwater.
Yeah.
I like...
I'm playing Southern Blood.
We'll have to talk about that. Okay, Ken Urquhart, keyboard player from Boston.
I love Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny, yeah. Get him to talk about managing a touring band and how he keeps it all straight between his New York and South Florida. Okay, this is something that I'm sure this can go on for another hour. What people don't realize is when they see your band, they see all the glitz, the glamour, the thousands of people. They don't realize necessarily what goes behind closed doors as far as the business end. You handle everything from the business end, or do you have someone else have a hand?
I handle everything.
You handle promo, social media, bookings, contracts, insurance, agreements,
Yes,
everything.
everything.
So there's nobody
Jake
else.
takes care of airline and hotels.
Who does?
Jake.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that takes a little stress off me. yeah.
Okay, so when he does the air, just to dabble on that, I'm guessing you consume a lot of miles. Does he keep track of all that, to where you could use the flight miles?
Yes, he's very good at that.
Does
Gets
he
us elite
also
status.
handle the boarding as well? Like if there's a hotel or
He takes care of all of that. Yes.
okay, so you do. He works with you side by side, helping you with all this. Okay, so Kathy, ask him what it was like expressing this vision and getting a total buy-in from his band to make the commitment it would need to become successful. We talked about that already. Of all the this is from Jeff McDonald. Of all the different versions of Unchained he's informed with, what version would be his favorite? Duh.
This version is
say
my
that.
favorite.
Okay, ask him where, this is from Al Lanzo, by the way, one of my first drummers when I was about 13, 14 years old. Ask him where we could purchase that fake six-pack ab suit.
You can get that in any party city in your local tri-state area.
Okay, Derek Solinsky said, has Gene ever considered using the samurai swords? That's a pretty good one. Fake samurai sword.
The problem is it's really, really hard to do it like Dave. I mean, I'll spin my mic stand like a baton, but the samurai sword, it's kind of tough.
That's a little much.
Yeah.
Years of
Yeah, absolutely.
working at it.
Right, Michael Mongo, I love you, Bongo. Can they remember the first time they heard Van Halen? Already did that one. Russell Miller, you know Russell Miller?
What was that name?
Metalicious, singer.
Okay.
Metalicious yeah, Russ.
Right.
He's great. Okay, and he covers a lot of the stuff that you cover. Where does he find the great stage pants? Asking for a friend.
Those are all custom made by a girl named Sherry Lou from California.
Sherry Lou.
Yep.
Shout out to Sherry. Joey Gins. Yes, will Wolfgang Van Halen play guitar on a Van Halen reunion with David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar, Michael Anthony? He's asking, will Wolfgang ever be part of a Van Halen tribute?
I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, last one. Do those groovy pants come in my size? Just want to say, okay, real quick, because we know, because I've been doing this for a long time. I've been to several of your shows, and the girls always enjoy you. The ladies always enjoy you. So at our age or your age, a little bit, people want to ask about what your regimen is, and how did it start? Were you always a guy who was, tried to stay healthy, always worked out? Was it something that caught on in your latter years? And what is a daily routine?
Well, what happened in 1996 is I got a DUI, and that basically changed my life.
Meaning a DUI?
A DUI, which,
Right.
I spent 2 days in jail. And then when I got out of jail, I decided I don't want to live my life like this anymore.
Right.
So then I started focusing on getting myself in shape, and preparing for the older years, saving money, stuff like that. So I ended up quit drinking, and then I ended up going to the gym. At that time, I wasn't doing cardio yet because I didn't like it. But cardio is what keeps you lean. But getting back to my regimen, I work out every day. I try to. That's why I joined a Planet Fitness. So any of you guys in bands that want to work out all the time, join a Planet Fitness because there's one in every city.
Right.
When I'm in Florida, I always ride my bicycle 7 to 10 miles a day when the weather's permitting. And I try and eat right, stay away from sugar, stay away from a lot of carbs. It's a lot of work. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right, right.
Like I try not to eat ice cream, which everybody loves ice cream. But it's always, people always ask me, I said, just keep moving your body.
Yeah.
And you got to want it. You just can't say, hey, I'm going to do this one day and then go, I did it for a week. I feel like I did well. I've been doing this for years.
Right.
I'm going to be 63 years old. And I want to get another 10 years out of this.
Absolutely.
Oh, shit.
Absolutely.
Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask him, or you think we covered everything? Because I left you pretty much out of this mix, and I apologize.
That's okay.
Because I had a bunch of stuff on my mind.
That's no, it's all good.
I just want you to know that I care about you, and you're a big part
We
of
love
what we
you.
do here.
It's
Without
okay.
you being here, we wouldn't have the success that we've had so far. So do you have any
So far, that's
questions?
good. Yeah, I think, the biggest thing is that I wonder about, you guys are a serious tribute band. And when you're traveling, do you go with techs and everything? Do you have,
It's a good question.
because if you're traveling, if you're doing shows up in the East, then back down here, are you bringing your gear from here to there?
Well, I have gear up there,
Okay.
and like I took a school minibus, and made it into a tour bus up north.
Okay, cool.
So I have gear up there, and I have gear down here.
Gotcha.
As for using Texas, it's a great question because someone's always asking me. Financially, it's tough sometimes.
Right.
After you add up airfare, hotel rooms, Facebook ads, gas, payroll, people don't get like if you take a $3,000 gig and put that all together.
I hope my guys just heard what he just said. Keep going.
Listen,
It's true.
And all gigs are paid the same. All gigs are paid differently. I can get a $3,000 gig. I can get a $10,000 gig. But there's always going to be money that's going to be taken. And like guys like me and Jimmy and other people that run bands, band members don't know exactly what goes on. It's not like it's none of your business. It's just we don't want to bore you with that stuff because there's a lot of work involved. But when you're getting like a $3,000 paycheck and you got to travel, and then you got to pay a tech that wants $200, but you want to give you guys extra money because they all want to raise eventually. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
But you also find guys, if I'm jumping in here, you also find guys that will be willing to volunteer their time because they love what you do. They love you and the way you treat them.
Right.
So a guy, if let's say it doesn't have to be a retiree, it could be anybody that wants to enjoy their night being around that atmosphere, that action, and are be willing to lift some things and help you out. You in different parts of cities that you go, you have go-to guys.
We have a couple guys down here, Lonnie and Rich, my friend Joe Butler. But sometimes if they don't learn it quickly, they can actually get in the way sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't want to be rude because I love these guys. They're my friends. They help me all the time. But sometimes I want to be like, go in the corner like they did the baby. Okay, just go over there for a little bit. Don't touch anything.
Of course, he doesn't say it like that when he's on the gig.
Of course I don't. No, I'm good to my guys. I'm good.
I know. You treat everybody nicely.
But the question you asked is like, you wish you could bring a sound man. I mean, when I'm with the guys from Tesla, that's the first thing they always tell me, like, always bring your own sound man. And you realize that because the sound guy is really part of your family.
Right.
And if you don't have a good sound guy out front, sometimes it sucks. Like I'm always arguing with guys. This is a Van Halen band. I need a little more guitar.
Listen, if I told you the stories I've heard about you, that would take a whole nother segment.
I didn't know it was that right.
Are you kidding? I didn't say anything negative. I just said, I go to this gig.
He's running the show.
I go to this gig, Gene. I go to this gig, Gene. I mean, you're a ball buster.
Well, I guess because these people never ran a business before.
They gotta know.
When you run a business,
I'm saying you're a ball buster. In other words, you don't just settle. You always go for the throat. When you get to the throat, you squeeze it. And when you squeeze it, nothing comes out, you squeeze harder until you get what you're asking for because, in a nice, sweet way, of course. I'm just saying, that's your reputation. Well, I know because you deal with these people and you hustle. And if you're not getting out, I mean, that's got to be tough because once the lights turn on and you go, you have to trust the house.
Right. I mean,
trust them, right?
If you look up the word success and work hard, there's a picture of me squeezing somebody.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. No, you got to.
But people don't understand. This is your product. You always want to present
This is how you represent.
At an A game. And listen, there's been times on stage like a guitar string breaks or, the PA goes out. I've watched guys like lose their minds, man.
Yeah.
Got to keep going.
Start cursing and screaming. You can't do that.
No.
We played in Connecticut about 3 months ago. It was packed, like 450 people in this little hall, and everything blew out. And, Clint started playing a little bass line. I didn't start screaming, what the fuck is going on here?
Right.
You just keep it calm, and it makes you look more professional.
Exactly.
Going out of your way.
Exactly. Well, the reason I asked the question is when we had our backline business, we'd have some pretty big bands come in. There'd be nobody to help these guys. And my brother and I would always stay. We didn't just drop the gear. He would make sure the drums, he'd go online and figure out where the drummer put his stands and how high the tom-toms were.
Let me tell you something.
Every
backline company knows Zoltan Chaney. Everyone.
Right.
Not a good one. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just leaving it at that.
But I'm saying we would try to do that stuff because I would think to myself, this is so-and-so. They have tons of hits. They don't have any techs.
Because
We're the techs.
well, you know, because financially, some of
Yeah.
them they don't want to part with their
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
I mean, if I made an $10,000 gigs, if I was getting it, of course I'd have a
Sure.
guy to move my equipment. I mean, it's so simple when you go to a gig, you just walk in and put a guitar
Right.
on. But you know, I'm taking drums apart at the end of the night.
Yeah.
I'm taking lights off. I
Yeah,
put
you
extra
are.
stuff up.
Right.
You know, banners.
Yeah.
LED stuff. I'm taking. It's a lot of
The,
work.
the best part is, go ahead. The best part is when he's setting up and nobody knows he's the front guy. I mean,
Right,
that's
right.
the best part. Nobody knows even who you are. So
walking
you're over
around
there
like
messing
this.
with the
I got a
drums.
flannel
Hey, when's the
shirt
singer
on.
getting here? When's the singer getting? He'll be here in a
He'll
while.
be
Don't
here,
worry.
yeah. And
No,
then you
I
come,
walk-
you
I
come
walk-
with a drop
yeah,
kick off the drum
I walk
riser.
around like this.
like,
No, because I'm always at the front door greeting people. Thanks for coming. I
Right,
talk to
right.
everybody.
Yeah.
I
I'm
mean, too.
I love my fans.
You gotta work
man.
it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta
I like
work
that.
it.
I love that.
And people love that.
Yeah.
You know, we're not rock stars, man. We're just like you doing what we love to do
Right.
for a living. You know, and then you talk to them. And then I'll be talking to these people. And then at the end of the night, I'll go out and take pictures and I'm in my outfit. They're like, were you the same guy that we were talking to before? Hey, I'm the same. I can't believe it, man. How like you transformed into
Didn't
that.
you give us directions to the bathroom earlier
Always,
tonight?
man.
You know, I thought you were the janitor. You
Right.
know?
But, you know, like I'm always like, I'll be selling T-shirts, you know,
Yeah,
like, come on,
right.
buy a T-shirt. Your wife's gonna look hot in that at 3 o'clock in the morning when
yeah.
you're drunk out of your mind,
Yeah,
you know?
and she's calling you Gene. Hey, before we close house, can you grab your phone
Yeah.
and just check, ring off a couple of shows
Oh,
that you
okay,
might be
great.
having up?
Definitely.
Let's shoot for like March, like what you got coming
All
up
right,
in
so
March if you
March 8th and 9th, we will be Bike Week, Saints and Sinners up in Ormond Beach.
could. Ormond Beach.
Ormond.
Ormond Beach, yeah, Ormond Beach. Okay.
It's up Orlando-ish area, right?
Daytona.
Daytona. Okay.
So it'll be March 8th and 9th.
Yeah,
That's-
two nights.
yeah, 2
All
nights.
right. What else you got?
The 16th will be at Royal Palm Beach Commons Park Seafood Fest.
Hey, I'll be there this Friday.
That's always great.
Did I just promote my own band? Go ahead, keep
It's-
going.
it's
Go ahead,
okay.
go ahead, go ahead.
The 22nd will be at the Daytona Hard Rock Hotel in Daytona.
What day is that?
That's March 22nd, a Friday.
March 22nd. Okay, go ahead.
March 23rd, we will be at the Funky Biscuit in Boca Raton.
Shout out to Al.
Shout out to Al.
Al.
All right. Keeps me employed as well. Keep going.
And the 29th and 30th, we travel up north to Pembroke, Massachusetts, and
Pembroke, Massachusetts.
New Bedford, Massachusetts.
And New Bedford.
Right.
I lived in
That's
Worcester.
it over there.
I lived in Worcester for years, so I know the
Right.
area. Real quick, I got to ask this. When you guys go up there, you travel up there, flights, okay, you got your board up there, you got to ask a certain dollar amount because if you don't, it's not going to make any business sense.
Right.
When you go up there, that guitar player, doesn't he always play through, what do you call this thing? No, Furman, or what do you call the different pedal stuff that you don't need the amplifier?
The
Kemper.
fractal.
Does he play through like a Frackle? Does he play like
No,
through a
well, he's
digital?
getting one.
I got a Kemper too.
Okay, so so you'll get backline, is that I guess what you're saying,
When
right?
well, those gigs we drive to. Like when we do like Chicago, or we do Sturgis, or we do Michigan, we get a backline, and we know the backline companies. They supply us with
Because
a
you've done
Marshall.
several shows with
Right,
them.
Right,
right,
right.
We've worked with them before, and everybody knows Zoltan.
Right. Is Zoltan in? Is he in? Or let's say if he has a 6 week something out with whoever Sebastian.
He's in. We've been using multiple guys because
Okay.
you know when you hear a Van Halen tribute band, you're like, wow, the hardest guy has to be, and you sit there and you think and you're like, they're all hard to replace.
Right.
But when
right.
you think about it, for us right now, it's been the Al. You know,
Right.
like
Right.
I'm not going to tell a guy like Zoltan or a guy like Timbo or a guy like Charlie Z, these really great drummers. You got to wear a headband and put
No,
a wig
no,
on.
no,
Like
no,
I
no,
can't
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
You know, because it doesn't.
But
it's
you
not-
don't need to.
But
Yeah.
it's not them.
Hey, Jason Sedowi, our producer and engineer, do you have a question for Gene at all? Or do you think we've covered everything? Do you want to put anything in there?
I think you guys have pretty well covered it. I don't have a specific question.
Okay, I just want you to know you're not forgotten. We realize you're over there.
You're the best looking guy in the living room.
Yeah.
There you go.
Don't worry
I'm
about
not
it.
saying much, by the way. Hey, everybody. What an amazing interview that was. That might have,
That was
I don't want to
rocking.
say it's been the best one because
It was
then I got to get
rocking.
yelled at from other entities. I don't want to.
It was
Amazing,
rocking.
amazing day. Gene, want to thank you so much for spending a couple
Absolutely.
hours with us.
It was
Really
fun,
appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother.
People are looking forward to
Absolutely.
this. This is going to air. Can we say an air date or no?
Yeah, the 23rd.
The 23rd of February, it's going to air. So make sure you look up Completely Unchained. They are on fire right now. They got over 80 shows on the books. You can see them at Completely Unchained.
Rocks.com.
Completely Unchained Rocks,
Rocks.
ROX,
ROCK KS.
KS.com. All right? So,
Rockin'.
Keith, thank you again. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
Take care.
Make sure you subscribe. Hit the button, damn it.
Hit the button.
Hit
Talk
the
to you
button
later.
now.
Hit the button.
That was fucking good.